Yo, what's good, meatheads? Hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast. It's your boy, IFBB Pro, Matt Butale, and today we are going to be walking through the correct way to rest, okay? How to have a rest day, what you need to incorporate on your rest days so that you remain effective and you continue to get results in your fitness journey. Because believe it or not, there is a wrong way to do a rest day, okay? And we're going to be breaking that down in this episode today, okay? So, again, for men over 30, with slower recovery, everything declines after you're 30, right? Knees, elbows, back, whatever you want to call it, it's going to decline. And recovery is one of those things that you need to pay attention to the older you get, but that doesn't discount the fact that when you are younger, like if you're under 30, you still need to pay attention to it because, as I said before, and as I'll say again, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, meaning you better be trying your best to preserve your youth, better be trying your best to make sure that you can keep your body functioning in a state where, you don't have to compromise much as you age, as you get older. I don't know why, I said as you old, but you get it, right? So, again, you need to approach fitness and your fitness journey, fat loss, muscle building, whatever your goal is, you need to approach it with a focus, with like the intention to recover and incorporate sustainability. Okay. And we're going to be breaking that down in today's episode. So here are some strategies that I'm going to break down for you guys. Of course, before I give you the strategies, I'll tell you what not to do. Okay. I'll tell you what not to do on rest day. Don't just do nothing. Okay. Rest day doesn't mean just like kick your feet up and, eat McDonald's and like just relax and do nothing. It doesn't necessarily mean that. Right. And I know it's, you think that you need to do that because it's called rest day. Like when you're not going to the gym, you are going to do things that I guess you would consider rest, right? But I want to let you understand that the things that you are doing when you are resting should be things that, again, are more on the healthier side, meaning you're not going to be doing the things that you were doing before your fitness journey on a rest day, right? So in your fitness journey, you should still be eating roughly 80 to 90%, home cooked, clean meals while you are resting, right? So when you are resting, it doesn't mean, hey, it's rest day. That means it's cheat day. No. And if you think that's what it means, then I want to remind you that it's not what it means, right? So you shouldn't lean towards doing that. You should lean towards basically having almost a similar day as you would have in the gym, except the only thing that's different is that you're not in the gym on that day. Okay. So just keep that in mind and be aware of it. That's the very first thing here. And I know a lot of people, especially listening to this, that consider themselves maybe intermediate in terms of fitness, they think that there is a difference between, or at least there should be a difference between rest day and active rest day. An active rest day is essentially a rest day where you are still kind of moving around. You're still making a very small effort to burn calories, whereas a rest day, you are making an effort to not move at all. And now, although it kind of makes sense to differentiate the two, I personally wouldn't want you guys to try to do that unless, and when I say do that, I'm talking about the rest, like the completely, you're not doing anything, you're not even trying to burn a single calorie. The only sort of situation I'd recommend you would do the completely rested, not move an inch type of rest day is if you are injured. So, for example, if you injure your knee, you tear your ACL or your shoulder, your elbow, something's actually injured and you need to like literally not move, that's a rest day where you don't have to incorporate activity. However, if you are, you're fine, you're just incorporating a rest day to be proactive and to heal your muscles so that you can come back into the gym, charge into the gym, and get better results throughout your fitness journey, then I would recommend that you incorporate some kind of activity in or on your rest day. Meaning, instead of just sitting around, and just doing nothing, maybe you're going to go on a walk. Okay. And if you already go on walks with your dog, you're going to make that walk a little bit longer. All right. Nothing crazy at all. Right. You just want to focus on not being completely sedentary. You want to move just a little bit more so that you are keeping your body, again, active. Because the more active you are, as you already know, the more calories you're going to burn, or at least the easier it is for your body to remain consistent at burning calories and burning fat. Right. So rest days doesn't mean, halt the brakes unless you are literally injured and you shouldn't. And like the doctor is telling you not to move. Right. That's the only situation. That's the only case that would make sense for me or my clients or anybody else listening to this. It's like to not move, to literally freeze on rest day. All right. So the first thing actually I want to bring up here before we dive into it is I want you to prioritize rest and recovery days. A lot of you guys, especially men that start to train, that begin training, or like new to the gym, only have one rest day, right? How many of you guys train every single day of the week except Sunday? And if that's you, just pay attention to this, because I was the same way, right? And at times I am the same way. I want you to be able to prioritize recovery days by listening to your body, not necessarily by like following a schedule, but by listening to your body. So, and you'll notice it. If you have been going to the gym for at least 6 months, 8 months, right? You'll notice that on certain days that you train, the weights that you are lifting, although it's not any like heavier, like you're not trying to hit a personal record, the weights don't move the same way. They're a little bit more difficult to get off of your chest, or you feel like you're a little bit more out of breath in between every single set. Okay. And even if you do add more time in between your sets to rest, you'll still notice, or you'll at least feel like a little bit more fatigued. If you notice that for two consecutive workouts in a row, this is the rule. This isn't the rule for me. If I notice that for two workouts, 2 days in a row, I feel like I'm not necessarily getting stronger, or like I feel like it's not as easy or not normal per se, because the weights normally move at X rate, and I normally feel this level of tiredness or fatigue, and I notice that it's on a decline. I know that by listening to my body, it's time to incorporate a rest day. Okay. And this means not marrying a schedule, being like, oh, well, I only rest on Sunday, so it doesn't matter if I'm performing this way. I'm just going to thug it out, you know? And if you're a competitor, it's completely different. You can't really apply what I just said to the same degree, because you will have to, go there and perform. But if you are just somebody who's wanting to burn fat, build muscle, you don't need to kill yourself. You don't need to go to the point where you reach absolute exhaustion before you take a rest day. It's necessary to take rest days even in the middle of the week if you feel you need it, right? So the rule of thumb here is don't marry a schedule when it comes to rest days. I want you to focus on rest or recovery days by listening to your body, and allow yourself 1 to 3 days per week, depending on how much energy, how much strength, and of course, your experience levels in the gym, right? So 1 to 3 days per week, you should be implementing to actually take a rest, to like not go to the gym, but go home and do some activity. Just be active. Maybe go on a walk. Literally, a walk is the best thing you can do. It's not that intense to do, but it does keep your body moving. It does keep your heart rate going. Okay. So that's for the activity part. All right. So another thing I want to talk about here is, if you are noticing that, say you take your rest day and you're getting back into it, going to the gym, things of that sort, and you still notice that you don't have like the energy, or you don't have the strength, and this has been like a recurring thing for a while, two things might be the issue. One thing might be nutrition, and the other thing might be the intensity of your workout. It's not uncommon, especially nowadays with this new style of training that's like being like, I guess, pushed, or that is now popular. It's not uncommon for men to feel like they're doing too much in the gym. Like you're overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed in the sense like you can't handle it, but overwhelmed where physically, like you sometimes in between sets, like you just can't breathe. Like it's just too much volume. Like you're doing way too much, right? And if you notice that week in, week out, and your nutrition is okay, then you should modify your workout and justify your intensity. You should adjust your intensity so that it can match the level of strength, endurance, stamina that you do have, so you can continue to make progress to a point where you can actually increase it. Okay. And this typically happens when we make big jumps, big changes in our training. So you don't want to be making humongous boosts in the amount of reps that you're doing, the amount of sets that you're doing, especially if you're changing from one program to another program. All right. Be mindful of your body, be mindful of your intensity threshold, and respect it. Because if you don't, you run the risk of injury, simply due to the fact that you're just not ready to get to that level of performance. Okay. And it's not to say that you never will be, but you have to work up towards it. So that's if your nutrition's on point. However, if you notice that the same training routine that you have has been getting increasingly difficult over time, the nutrition might be the issue. You might be low like way too low in calories to perform like optimally with that workout split, or it can be specifically carbohydrates, because carbs give us the energy to go to the gym, to get the pump, to move the weight. So you might need to increase your carbohydrates. Again, it's either nutrition or it's the intensity level of the workout. If you've noticed that nothing's changed workout wise, like you're lifting the same weight, but maybe you've added like sets, you've added reps, and your body just cannot keep up, dial it back down. There's no need to push yourself into a wall to try to make progress. Okay, because that's also a way to get injured, right? Slow and steady always wins the race. All right. So those are two things here. The last thing that I'm going to bring up here, guys, is, or one of two things. I guess it ties together. It's hydration's a part of nutrition. So nutrition, guys. All right. I want you to focus on your nutrition when it comes to rest day. What I do with my clients is they have two different sets of nutrition guidelines. One of them is for their training days, and one of them is for their rest days. And the reason why we do this at the Natural Nomad Academy is because on your training days, you're going to be burning a lot more calories. Like you're going there, you're pumping weight, you're doing cardio, you're way more active on a training day than you would be on a rest day, meaning you're burning more calories. And since you're burning more calories, you have the ability to take in more calories and still be in a calorie deficit so that you don't necessarily have to starve in order to burn fat. Right? This is one of my favorite things to do. I've always been doing it. I do it with myself as well. So on your training days, make sure you have at least 150 to 200 calories more than your rest day. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because, again, you are burning more calories on your training day, so you can afford the extra food to eat, right? Technically speaking, if you ate the same thing throughout the week in terms of the calories and you didn't give yourself more calories on training days, you would lose weight faster, but you would also be a lot more hungry. You would starve a lot more. And if you really want to lose weight, if you really want to build muscle and you want it to like be permanent and not some phase, and you want to keep your results, you have to incorporate some sort of sustainability. And in this sense, the sustainability is more calories on training days because I can burn more calories on training days. There's more room for it, and I can still be in a deficit to, again, continue seeing more progress. All right. And on rest days, I would, again, drop the calories. However, when I'm dropping the calories, I'm literally reducing the carbohydrates and the fats, right? Carbohydrates are mainly because I won't need them, because carbohydrates do give us the energy. They're mainly sugars. They give us the energy to go to the gym and push really hard. That's amazing. But we're not really pushing hard on rest days. So we don't need the exact same amount of carbohydrates as we would on a training day. Make sense? So what that means is I'm going to reduce the carbohydrates to, decrease the amount of total calories, right? But I keep protein the same. If not, I add more protein and subtract even more carbohydrates. And the reason being is because protein, it satiates you. It makes you feel full, right? So if you eat protein, right, a lot of protein, you're going to be or feel more full long term than if you were to eat a lot of carbohydrates. So on rest days, I prioritize protein because it makes me feel more full. On top of that, it has a thermic effect, meaning it's going to burn more calories to digest and metabolize. So that's a win there. You're burning extra calories without even knowing it. On top of that, muscle preservation, muscle building, muscle growth. We all know that protein is the main reason for that to happen. And so emphasizing or prioritizing protein on rest days is key. It's crucial to make the most out of your rest days. Does that make sense? Beautiful. Also, hydration. I did allude to it a little bit earlier, but hydration. When I'm talking about hydration here, this mainly ties in with carbohydrates. A lot of you guys listening to this might not know this, but carbohydrates, in order to absorb the carbs and make it useful in the gym, for every single gram of carbohydrates, you need 3 milliliters of water to completely absorb it. If you didn't know that, now you know it. So think of however many carbohydrates you're eating every single day. All right. If you are tracking your nutrition, like I tell you to do always, then look at your nutrition, look at the carbohydrates, multiply that by 3, and that's the bare minimum amount of water that you need to consume every single day to make use of the carbohydrates that you're consuming in your fitness journey. Make sense? And the way this works is, again, think of it, carbohydrate, right? Carb meaning sugar in Latin, and then hydrate, it's water, right? So in order to make use of the sugar and to shuttle it into the muscle, shuttle it into the body so that you can use it, you need to adequately hydrate yourself. Make sense? All right, guys. Again, just quick tips for y'all on your rest day. Some rest day one-on-one tips. And if you didn't know anything in this episode, I'm glad you learned something. Okay? That's it. That's all. If you like this episode, share it out with a friend. Let's embrace your inner meathead together. It's been nice chatting. Hope you like what today's topic is about. IFBB Pro, Matt Brutale signing out. All right, folks, that's it. Yo, Jaspier, what's good? Scotty, what's happening? Yeah, hope y'all are getting jacked. This is episode 253 of Meathead on the Mic podcast. So if y'all want to tune in and get a bunch of other free information, we're on Spotify. Again, Meathead on the Mic podcast. If you're on Instagram, you can just click my highlights, and the link is in one of my highlights, so you can tap in over there. All this is free. I don't monetize this. No sponsors, none of that. Just so y'all can get free information and move forward in your own fitness journey. All right. That's it. Hope you guys have a sick Thursday. I appreciate all of you that tuned in before and those of you that tuned in now. If you got any questions, shoot me a DM. But outside of that, we out, people. Peace.